You can tell by the title of the book that it focuses on anti-Tang San, as well as anti-Tang Hao and anti-Xiaogang keywords of the novel. Douluo. My diary makes Tang Sanzhong rebellious without a pop-up window. Douluo. My diary makes Tang Sanzhong rebellious. Download the complete text. Douluo. My diary makes Tang Sanzhong rebellious. Read the latest chapter. Chapter 1. Diary System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Diary System, Family Members, Who Knows? I just opened a dungeon with the newly purchased Bibidong doll. Why did you suddenly cross the Douluo continent? The key is that it's not impossible for me to cross to the Douluo continent, but at least it will also allow me to complete that dungeon. Now that I'm so restless, don't mention how bad it is. A 106-character diary quickly appeared in front of a boy who appeared to be around 12 years old, emitting colorful light. Looking at the 106 diary mall points he had obtained, a boy named Shen let out a faint sigh and muttered to himself. It's really speechless. Other people's systems, as long as they are successfully bound, will directly give a beginner's gift package, but when it comes to me, there is not even a single thread. Forget it. Finally, it's 1,000 words and 1,000 words. When I was writing novels in the original world, the most I could do was around 10 yuan per 1,000 words. Now, 1,000 words and 1,000 words, this is something in the original world that can even wake up from a dream with a smile. Although these 1,000 words and 1,000 are not given as money, but as points in the diary mall, these points are much more valuable than money. With this in mind, Shen no longer wasted time, changed his comfortable sitting posture, and put his mind back into the diary in front of him, starting to write again. However, what Shen didn't know was that when he wrote the first word in his diary, countless copies of the diary fell on the heads of leading ladies in supporting role and more brilliant passers-by from all over the world as if they were free of money, such as Douluo, or the lead dancer of Soto's Great Fighting Soul Field who also served as the front desk. For a moment, screams of surprise echoed from various parts of the world. Speaking, I always have a feeling that the diary system I am getting now is second-hand, not first-hand diary system. After all, it's okay without a beginner's gift package, but unfortunately, the diary system also opens up some channels to go to other worlds. For example, I am currently in the era of the first installment of Douluo continent, but as long as I am willing to spend 100 diary mall points, I can go to the second installment of Douluo continent, which is the era 10,000 years later, and that's more than that. In addition to the world in the second part of Douluo continent, there are also channels on the diary system to go to the world of God Seal Throne, the world of Wine God Yin Yang Crown, the world of Son of Light, the world of Tianzhu Transformation, the world of Qin Emperor, and so on. Good guy, in these dozen or so novel worlds, almost most of them are novels written by Tang, which is like poking Tang's nest. However, this is also good. Leaving aside everything else, there are many stunning beauties in the world of these novels written by Tang. This is very in line with my hobbies, but there are also regrettable aspects. When I was in the original world, I loved Qin Yining very much. Now, as long as I spend 100 points on the diary mall, I can go to the perfect world to see her, but I cannot go at this stage. The first reason is that a perfect world is too dangerous. The second reason is that Qin Yining is Shihao's mistress. I'm afraid that if I provoke Qin Yining, Shihao will come over and stab me along the internet cable. Not good. Here we go again. I don't know why, but when it comes to Qin Yining, I get easily excited. Depeng wants to spread his wings. For this reason, I used up 3 of Qin Yining's dolls in the original world. Cough cough. Stop talking, stop talking. Speaking further, it's time to get to the charging content. At this point, Shen once again withdrew his mind from his diary, intending to calm down and think about what he should do next. As a result, after thinking about it, he realized that he couldn't do anything else now except earn more points in the diary mall by writing diaries. I had no choice but to travel for about half an hour before encountering a diary system that didn't send beginner gift packages. Shen was also very helpless. Next, Shen Fan pondered for a few more minutes, looked at the items in the diary mall, and after having a clear idea, put his mind on the diary for the third time. I don't know at which point the timeline of Douluo has developed. This broken diary system only tells me that I am currently in Douluo world, and I don't know everything else at first glance. However, my body was about 5 months away from my 20th birthday before crossing over, and now I have crossed over to Douluo continent, which has been directly restored to the age of 12 by the diary system. So, based on the conclusion I have drawn from reading hundreds of Douluo fan novels, as long as the diary system does not follow me in the opposite direction, there should be no accidents. The main timeline of Douluo now should be the era of the martial soul palace Bibidong. As for the sub-timeline, it should be between the time when Shrek's 7 monsters just arrived at Shrek Academy and participated in the elite competition of the All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy. And this timeline is a very delicate one. Because too many things have happened during this period of time, even the events that occurred during this timeline directly affected the direction of the entire Douluo continent, or, in other words, the future direction of the entire Douluo star for tens of thousands of years. Unfortunately, I am still an ordinary person without any cultivation and can only hide within the protection circle provided by the diary system to write my diary, hoping to use the diary store points given by writing my diary to strengthen myself. Speaking of which, I want jade again. When someone travels through their home, the system doesn't just give them a cultivation title Douluo, but at least it will also give them an absolutely incredible cultivation talent. Just like the last Douluo fan book I saw before crossing over, Douluo. Double Douluo comparison, Tang San breaks defense, in which the male protagonist and I share the same surname but have different fates. I didn't get anything by binding the system. He bound the system, and when he awakened his martial soul at the age of 6, he unsurprisingly awakened an absolutely powerful true dragon martial soul, with innate soul power reaching around level 50. Sigh, I won't say it anymore, talking too much, it's all tears. Finally, after writing over 1,000 words in his diary, Shen Fan stretched lazily and wiped away the non-existent tears from the corners of his eyes, with a hint of impatience in his expression. Diary system. Quick, fast, fast. Immediately redeem the nameless Dharma that requires 1,000 diary store points to be redeemed, as well as the outsider halo that requires 100 diary store points to be redeemed. End of this chapter. Chapter 2 Hulena. Originally, the teacher was also a girl who understood in seconds. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Hulena. Originally, the teacher was also a girl who understood in seconds, not giving beginners a big gift package, not giving powerful cultivation, not giving extraordinary cultivation talents. For these, Shen Fan's frustration is true, and his desire to vomit is also true, but he will not always be entangled in it. Moreover, after the 2 instances of spitting up just now, the urge in his heart to not vomit or be unhappy has already erupted. At this moment, Shen Fan just wants to quickly obtain the cultivation method and start trying to cultivate. Redemption successful. Deducting 1100 points from diary mall points. The unnamed Dharma and Outsider's aura have been distributed to the system space. Please check on your own by the host. As Shen Fan's voice fell, the diary system instantly reacted and completed the deduction of points and shipment in less than a second. Outsider aura. Those who possess this aura will inevitably choose to ignore you as long as you do not actively disturb the other person, even if you are only a slight distance away. Unknown Dharma. I don't know why it was created, but its origin is beyond investigation. After careful modification by a strong person, it has now gone further. Diary system. I can understand the role of this outsider's aura, but what is the situation with this unnamed true method? As mentioned above, this true law has been carefully modified by a strong individual and has now taken it further. Can I understand that this is a practice book that breaks the circuit? With full expectations, Shen Fan just glanced at the halo of outsiders and then turned his gaze to the nameless true Dharma floating in the system space. However, after flipping through the first page of the nameless true method for a few seconds, Shen Fan was introduced to Lei not lightly. If everything goes smoothly, this issue should be at least a few 100 million years later before the host should consider it. What are you afraid of now that the host is on the Douluo continent, known as the Xuanhuan Sewer. Are you still afraid that your mother won't be able to entangle you? Upon hearing this, the diary system did not deny it. Sure enough. I just knew that cheap goods are not good. The cheapest of the other cultivation methods in the mall also requires 500,000 diary mall points per book, but this unnamed true method only requires 1,000 diary mall points to be redeemed. I'm still a little too naive. Shen Fan couldn't help but roll his eyes, without any intention of continuing to argue. He refocused his gaze on the nameless true method and used his mind to flip to the next page. At the same time, just as Shen Fan was sinking his mind and starting to study the nameless Dharma, the female protagonists and supporting women with diary copies looked at the diary copies spread out in front of them that only he could see, as well as the content written on them, each with a slightly unpleasant expression. Although the content on the copy of the diary is mostly some of the owner's spitting and pomegranate words. But just because the protagonists and the world they are in, as revealed by the diary owner, all come from the novel, it is difficult for these female lead and supporting characters to accept. Of course, there are exceptions to this, which are Bibidong and Qin Yining who were attacked by the language of durian in the diary content. At this moment, although both of them were both shocked to find themselves characters in a novel, and their world was a novel world, they were still almost taken aback by the words of the pomegranate on. If it weren't for not having no idea where the owner of the diary was now, and Qin Yining also knew that she and the owner of the diary were not in the same world now, the two women would have personally taken action to capture this petty thief who dared to use words to desecrate them. Correo was like this, knowing that he and the owner of the diary were in the same world. Bibidong still had a cold and beautiful face, and gave orders to the trembling Moon Pass and Ghost standing below. Moon Pass. Ghost. Here's a task for you. Go search everywhere for an ordinary man who is 12 years old and has no cultivation. The other party's behavior should be different from that of ordinary people. Bibi spoke and thought as much as possible, sharing all the information that the owner of the diary had already revealed. Ah! Under the Pope's crown. Is that just a little bit of information? Originally, seeing Bibidong speak, Yu Guan breathed a gentle sigh of relief in her heart, finally not having to face the pressure emanating from Bibidong's increasingly cold face. Result. What's going on? Is this information not enough? Don't go yet. Bibidong saw standing there dumbfounded, looking at his own moon, his eyes wide open, and his face even colder. Yes, yes. I'll go now. Staring at Bibidong with a threatening gaze, Moon Pass was instantly startled and quickly bowed to Bibidong, pulling the equally bewildered ghost away from the Pope's basilica. Teacher. There is new content in the diary. At this moment, Hulena, standing on the side, carefully glanced at Bibidong on the papal throne and warned weakly in her voice. Speaking of which, this diary copy is very strange, and for those who have also obtained the diary copy, it can be said that it is completely taboo. Even if you treat the diary copy as a brick, you can directly hit the opponent's face. For those who have not obtained a diary copy, the diary copy itself is like an absolute taboo that cannot be revealed, not even a word. Just like before, on her way to the Pope's basilica, she was hit in the head by a copy of her diary. Yu Guan asked her what had happened at that time, and she was about to say that she had been hit by the diary that had fallen to the ground. However, before she could truly speak, the diary that had fallen to the ground automatically flew in front of her and spread out, warning her not to reveal the existence of the diary. At that time, as the only disciple of the Pope, Hulena was not afraid at all and wanted to try what would happen if she revealed the existence of the diary. The result is that he almost passed away. Humph. On the other hand, upon hearing his disciple's reminder, Bibidong snorted coldly and looked at the diary copy. She really wants to see if this thief can spit out ivory. I really didn't expect it. So the teacher is also a girl who understands in seconds. Seeing her own teacher's attention shift back to the diary copy, Hulena also thought to herself secretly. Previously, Hulena had always thought that her teacher was a simple iceberg beauty. But the scene that happened before showed her the other side of her own teacher. And just as Hulena was lost in thought, she suddenly realized that the teacher who was reading the diary had gradually become incredulous. So she quickly shook off her mind that day and turned to her own diary. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Roast about Tang Sanhe and Xiaogang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Roast about Tang Sanhe and Xiaogang. I just exchanged the diary mall points I earned from writing diaries for a cultivation method and an outsider aura. How to say it, perhaps it can only be said that Douluo continent is truly worthy of being called the fantasy sewer by most people in the original world. The diary system told me since I am not yet a cultivator, I can only watch the first chapter of the basic volume of the nameless cultivation method that I exchanged. Even though it was only the first chapter of the basic volume, it still directly cleaned up the Soul Master cultivation system of Douluo continent in seconds. According to the records on the nameless Dharma, the first chapter of the basic volume is divided into 10 realms, which correspond exactly to the first Soul Master realm in the Soul Master cultivation system. According to the interpretation provided by the diary system, although the 10 realms in the first article of the basic volume correspond exactly to the realms of the Soul Master cultivation system, in the same realm, people who have practiced the nameless true method can basically instantly kill those who have practiced the Soul Master cultivation system with just one move. Of course, it's not that the Soul Master side has no ability to resist at all. The diary system also uses an analogy, taking the lowest level Soul Warrior as an example. It corresponds to the first realm of the nameless true method, the white mysterious realm. As long as this Soul Warrior awakens a martial soul, it combines strong attack martial soul, sensitive attack martial soul, control martial soul, defense martial soul, healing martial soul, and auxiliary martial soul into one, forming an all-around martial soul. Then, add a set of 6 universal soul bone sets with a lifespan of about 5,000 years and a universal external soul bone set with a lifespan of about 5,000 years. So, by combining multiple aspects, this Soul Warrior can now fight against the same level of White Xian realm. To be honest, when I heard the analogy made by the diary system, I was very happy, because this indicates that in no time, I will be able to find trouble with Tang San, this little rascal. And with the aura of an outsider, as long as I'm careful not to make too much noise, Tang Hao won't be able to detect me at all. Jia. I can't say much about other novel worlds, but if you travel to the first part of Douluo continent, as a protagonist, if you don't mess with Tang Wusan, you have a 99% chance of being scolded. Douluo Yin said, Douluo danced a little and said, Douluo Xiaowu. Douluo Yining Rongrong said, Douluo and Zhu Zhuqing said, Douluo, Ilio, and Erlong. Douluo Yiming still said, Douluo Duguyen said, I knew Tang San was definitely not a good person. Douluo Tangya. What? Let me start from scratch and think about how much evil Tang Wusan has done. Got it. I remember that when Tang San woke up his martial soul at the age of 6, he was led by the village chief of Holy Soul Village, Old Jack, to attend Notting Junior Soul Master Academy. As a result, the gatekeeper of Notting College deliberately made it difficult for Old Jack and Tang San to enter the college gate. In this situation, if it's a normal person, at most it's just a chubby beating of the gatekeeper. So how did our Tang Binsan do it? He didn't say a word and directly said to the gatekeeper in his heart, you already have a way to die. If it weren't for you Xiaogang arriving in time later, I'm afraid this gatekeeper would have been stabbed with a hidden weapon by Tang Binsan on the spot. Indeed, I am worthy of having a poor background in the Tang clan in my past life, and I do not even consider the lives of others. However, wouldn't Tang Binsan use his brain to think about it? It's easy for him to stab the guard at Notting College, but what should old Jack, who brought him to school, do? Tang San is a soul master, and if he cuts someone, he can leave in one go. Can old Jack, who has lived in Holy Soul Village for generations, run away now? At that time, if we can't find his trace of Tang San, the unlucky one in the end will not be old Jack who brought him to school. You can see it from here. Tang Biansan is an extremely selfish person who only considers his own interests and dignity, and never considers others at all. I completely forgot that when Tang San was a child, Tang Hao ignored him. If it weren't for the help of old Jack, he would have starved to death long ago. Douluo Yia In. How could that happen? How could he treat our children like this? At this moment, in a hidden cave, a blue-silver grass with golden threads was constantly shaking its body, appearing very restless. As Tang San's mother, Ayan doesn't care whether her son is a good or bad person. She only saw in her diary that her son almost starved to death. This made her feel both heartbroken and angry. She wished she could teleport to Tang Hao now and ask him a clear question. However, she was only a small grass now, shaking for a long time and unable to move a little. In the end, she could only sigh faintly and refocus her attention on her diary. I don't know if this gatekeeper is still alive or not. In fact, in my opinion, the worst thing in this matter should belong to you, Xiaogang. According to my understanding of the first part of Douluo continent, the reason why this gatekeeper came out to make things difficult for Tang San and old Jack was because he was instructed by you, Xiaogang. You should know that this gatekeeper is just an ordinary person. Unless he goes crazy, he would not dare to provoke a soul master with just 100 courage. After all, even though the soul of this soul master is recognized as a useless martial soul blue-silver grass, with an innate level of 10 full soul power, it is still very easy to deal with him as an ordinary person. Moreover, at that time, old Jack even showed the guard the certificate issued by the Martial Soul Hall. But the gatekeeper was good. He only glanced at it and said with disdain that the proof was fake. Every year when the school starts, the gatekeeper has to look at dozens or hundreds of certificates for the Martial Soul Hall. Can the gatekeeper not tell whether the certificate handed over by old Jack is true or false? In this situation, the gatekeeper dared to open his eyes and tell lies. This is no longer a matter of courage, but of living enough. So, if a gatekeeper who is not crazy and still wants to live well can offend the Martial Soul Hall, he will also trouble old Jack and Tang San. The answer seems to be about to come out. That's right, this gatekeeper is acting obediently. The person who gives this command to the gatekeeper can also give them the confidence to fear the majesty of the Martial Soul Hall, and at the same time, they do not care whether it will harm the interests and reputation of the Martial Soul Hall. There can be no second person in the world except you, Xiaogang. Douluo compared to Dong and said, Douluo, Lu, and Long said, End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Angry Bibidong and Xiaowu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Angry Bibidong and Xiaowu. Actually, Tang San, the most suitable experimental object for Yu Xiaojiang's disciple to verify his theoretical knowledge, was originally a gift secretly given to Yu Xiaojiang by Bibidong. After all, a peerless genius with innate level 10 full soul power appeared in Holy Soul Village. Even if this peerless genius awakened only a useless martial soul blue-silver grass, Su Yuntao, who was jokingly called the blind Douluo by netizens in the original world, would definitely report to the headquarters of the Martial Soul Hall. Even if Su Yuntao neglected his duty and did not choose to report, his superior, the main of the Nodding Branch Hall, would never dare not report. Otherwise, if it is found out in the future, everyone in the entire Nodding Hall may not be able to escape punishment. So, in the situation where Tang San's information has already been reported to the headquarters of the Martial Soul Hall, if it weren't for Bibidong, the Pope, secretly helping to suppress this news, it wouldn't have been the turn of Yu Xiaojiang, the so-called Great Marsh, to take Tang San as his disciple. But I have to say, if you want to use Tang San, you can use him. Anyway, Tang San is not a good thing, but why bother an innocent guard? Do you really feel like you are above all else? completely disregarding the life of an ordinary person, although in the original work, it is forcibly explained later that this gatekeeper had always relied on his identity as a gatekeeper and often benefited the parents of working-class students. However, this statement is purely to dispel the suspicion of Bai Xiaogang being the mastermind behind the scenes, and anyone with a bit of brain will not believe it. Even if their families are extremely poor, those working-class students will eventually become true soul masters. May I ask, how brave is this gatekeeper to offend dozens or even hundreds of future soul masters for a little bit of money? Sai Bibidong, why don't you come from a commoner background? Once you become the Pope, you completely forget your roots and even help Xiaogang bully ordinary people. Douluo compared and said, I'm not. Don't talk nonsense. Bibidong admitted that she had already figured out Tang San's destination as soon as she saw his information. But heaven and earth have a conscience. She just wants to give Tang San to Xiaogang, the white moonlight in his heart, as an apprentice. As for how Xiaogang will choose to subdue Tang San, she really has no idea. At this moment, Bibidong sat in the papal palace, her face very black. She did not blame Xiaogang, but threw all her dissatisfaction onto the owner of the diary. At the same time, the former Blue Bull College is now the location of Shrek College. Damn it. I didn't expect that the master would be such a person who dares to unite with the woman Bibidong to plot against him. No way. I need to tell my brother about this matter. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know if my brother was sold by Xiaogang in the future. In the dormitory, Xiaowu put on her shoes and went out to find Tang San. Wait a minute. On the side, Zhu Zhuqing quickly stopped the impulsive little dance. Xiaowu, you should also know how the relationship between Tang San and Master is. Do you think Tang San will believe that the Master is calculating with him, as you are running over to Tang San without any reason now? Zhu Zhuqing said calmly. It's not in the diary. Upon hearing this, Xiaowu was about to talk about the diary when she suddenly realized that Tang San did not have a diary, and her eyebrows furrowed slightly. As Zhu Zhuqing said, with the respect and maintenance shown by Tang Sanping towards Xiaogang as a teacher, anyone can see that in Tang San's heart, Xiaogang's position is absolutely high. If it were someone else, Xiaowu would have the confidence to let Tang San stand on her side with just one sentence. However, if this person had been replaced by Xiaogang, Xiaowu thought for a moment and could only sigh before being pulled back down by Zhu Zhuqing. Xiaowu, don't worry too much either. No matter what the master's intention is to recruit third brother, his usual concern for third brother is evident to all. Moreover, although this diary copy may seem mysterious and extraordinary, its origin is ultimately unknown. Moreover, as the owner of this diary mentioned earlier, he just wanted to cause trouble for Tang San. He couldn't guarantee it. These pieces of information were intentionally written by the owner of the diary to make us suspect ourselves and make it easier for the other party to watch the play and cause trouble. Seeing Xiaowu sitting down, she frowned and remained silent. Zhu Zhuqing, who was grateful for Tang San's gift of fairy grass, knew Xiaowu's position with Tang San and continued to comfort her on the side. Next to it, Ning Rongrong watched as Zhu Zhuqing and Xiaowu continued to perform there without saying a word. Perhaps soul masters like Xiaowu and Zhu Zhuqing from the strong attack and quick attack genres, or from other combat genres, are more interested in watching dramas and may not pay special attention to the cultivation methods mentioned by the owner of the diary. However, as Ning Rongrong and the 9 treasure glass sect, who have no self-protection ability, if those so-called cultivation methods are truly as powerful as those written in the diary, they are definitely priceless treasures that must be obtained for them. It seems that in the days to come, I will carefully observe the suspicious people around me. I believe that since the owner of this diary said he wants to trouble Tang San, he will definitely come to Shrek Academy. Retrieving his gaze towards Xiaowu and Zhu Zhuqing, Ning Rongrong murmured to himself. As the young master of the 9 treasures glass sect, she is just a little witch in character. In terms of knowledge and other aspects, she is naturally not comparable to Xiaowu, the 100,000-year-old pomegranate rabbit, and Zhu Zhuqing, the duke's daughter who has been excluded by the family. Unfortunately, due to the limitations of the entire Douluo continent's martial soul cultivation system, Ning Rongrong, who urgently wanted his soul master with the 7 treasures glass pagoda martial soul to have combat power, was completely attracted by the cultivation method and unintentionally ignored the halo of outsiders, something that had never appeared on the Douluo continent before. That's not right, I'm talking about Tang San, this little rascal. Why did he digress and run to Xiaogang and Bibidong? Forget it, just go off topic. Anyway, it's off topic, so let's just run a little further. Since it has been mentioned earlier that Tang San was calculated by Bibidong and Xiaogang, it is necessary to mention the first female lead of Douluo continent's first part, the 100,000-year-old durian rabbit dance. By the way, this little rabbit is also a complete tragedy. Since she came to Notting College to study, every step from now on has been in Tang Hao's calculations. First, under the threat of Tang Hao, Notting College completely ignored the necessary defense between men and women, and directly arranged Xiaowu, a girl, to live in the male dormitory for 6 years. This is just a big joke. This book has been signed, please rest assured to save and watch it. Also, another book will definitely be finished, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. Xiaowu's Identity Exposed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Xiaowu's identity exposed. 6 years, you said, when we were all young at the age of 6, living together, I wouldn't say anything. But what's special about you? Xiaowu and Tang San are both 12 years old and still living together. No matter what the reason is, it's just nonsense. I have decided that in a while, when I go to Douluo Continent 2, I will go to Shrek Academy to find Tang Hao's granddaughter, Ji Ju. Anyway, when Tang Hao's granddaughter first enrolled in Shrek, she happened to be 12 years old, and I am also 12 years old now. I don't think Tang Hao would think there's anything wrong with my decision after all. I learned from Tang Hao's approach. If Tang Hao thinks I did something wrong, then this matter is definitely not over, ladies. Ro Qingxuang, Mama of Xiaowu. Hun Dan, how dare you plan such a plan on my daughter? Douluo Xiaowu. If the above is not a big deal, then Tang Hao's next actions will be even more pitfalls. You should know that Xiaowu's situation is completely different from Tang San's. Tang Sanming's martial soul on his face is the abandoned martial soul blue silver grass. Even if he has innate level 10 full soul power, encountering some people who don't understand anything may really think that Tang Sanming has no future. Cuz Xiaowu's martial soul is the soft bone rabbit. Although it may not be considered a powerful martial soul, it is at least a medium to high quality martial soul. As long as you cultivate well, you will definitely become a title Douluo in the future, and even become a super Douluo as long as you are willing to work hard to cultivate. The result is, it was still because of Tang Hao's threat that Notting College, from top to bottom, from the principal to the teachers, ignored Xiaowu, a peerless genius with innate soul power. During the 6 years in the college, not only did they not provide Xiaowu with any cultivation resources, but they also made Xiaowu exchange work for money every day. Fortunately, there was a son of the Lord of Notting City at Notting College who helped Xiaowu complete all the work of a working-class student. Otherwise, I estimate that when Xiaowu graduated in 6 years, she might not even be able to achieve level 29 soul power. However, even if Xiaowu reaches level 29 soul power at the age of 12, what can she do? Her cultivation talent was greatly destroyed by the joint deceitful tactics of Tang Hao and Notting College. It can be said that if Xiaowu had not been tricked by Tang Hao and Notting College, with her cultivation talent, she would definitely have received full training from any other college. After 6 years of study and graduation, her soul power level would definitely exceed level 29, much higher. In the original work, when Tang San graduated from Notting College, his soul power level reached level 29. This was because with Tang San's cultivation talent, he could only reach level 29 at most. When Xiaowu graduated from Notting College, her soul power level reached level 29, because Tang Hao only allowed Xiaowu and Tang Sanping at most. After all, a too dazzling little dance would obscure the genius light on Tang San's body. The most important thing is that a too dazzling little dance will definitely be noticed by other superpowers. At that time, relying solely on his severely injured Haotian Douluo, it is absolutely impossible to protect Xiaowu, this newly formed 100,000-year soul beast, bomb. As soon as the 5 words, 100,000-year soul beasts, appeared on the diary copy, it was like a bolt from the blue. The female lead and supporting female characters in Douluo instantly widened their beautiful eyes and their breathing quickly became rapid. They had previously felt that the owner of the diary always had an indescribable strangeness when writing about Xiaowu, and now they finally knew the reason. Douluo Shrek Academy, in the dormitory of Xiaowu San girls. This. Zhu Zhuqing glanced at the copy of his diary in his hand, then at Xiaowu, who was clearly a bit panicked, and fell silent. I never expected that the title, 100,000-year-old pomegranate rabbit, originally mentioned by the owner of this diary actually had a source. However, this title really fits Xiaowu's needs. Unlike Zhu Zhuqing, Ning Rongrong didn't think too much, but instead joked with Xiaowu, who was already on guard. Rongrong, you. Feeling the absence of any greed or hostility on Ning Rongrong's body, Xiaowu was stunned, her eyes full of surprises. Hee. What's going on? It's strange why I didn't have any malice towards you. Seeing Xiaowu's confusion, Ning Rongrong first glanced at Zhu Zhuqing, whose expression was no longer cold, and then smiled at Xiaowu and said. Xiaowu didn't say anything about this, just nodded. To be honest, during the time when I first arrived at Shrek College, I would definitely secretly deliver your message to the sect. There's no way, who made our relationship so poor at that time. But now, after so long contact, our 3 sisters have become so close. I really don't want to let the family fight against you. Ning Rongrong is actually very kind. Otherwise, just because Ning Rongrong had just arrived at Shrek College and suffered such great injustice, he would have already wiped out all the teachers and students of Shrek. With the love of Sword Douluo and Gu Douluo for Ning Rongrong, as long as Ning Rongrong tells the Sword Bone Douluo about his grievances, even if Ning Rongrong wants to make various dishes for everyone in Shrek to eat, even the Sword Bone Douluo will not refuse. Rongrong, thank you. The words spoken by Ning Rongrong deeply moved Xiaowu. Sigh. Xiaowu. Rongrong and I will not take action against you, nor will we reveal your information. But you are still in danger now. I'm sure that not only the 3 of us on the entire Douluo continent have diary copies. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing, who had been engaged in a battle between heaven and humanity, sighed and made a decision, speaking out as a reminder. She didn't tell Xiaowu that Tang Hao might be the most dangerous person. One thing, she has no evidence. Secondly, Xiaowu may not necessarily believe it. 3 times, she dare not. Dong dong dong. Just as Xiaowu looked gratefully at Zhu Zhuqing, intending to say something, she heard a sudden knocking on the door. Who? Zhu Zhuqing asked. At the same time, the 3 women in the room glanced at each other and made a defensive posture with vigilance. It's me. The voice of Lu Erlong came from outside the door. Dean Erlong. Ning Rongrong replied, and the 3 women looked at each other. They were not sure if Lu Erlong was coming at this moment, whether it was a coincidence or just like them. They also had a diary copy, because they saw that Xiaowu was a soul beast of 100,000 years, so they rushed over immediately. It's me. Open the door quickly. Lu Erlong's voice was a bit low, as if afraid of being heard. Open the door. Dean Erlong did not break through the door directly, either by coincidence or without malice towards me. Xiaowu hesitated for a few seconds before speaking up. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Rules for Diary Copy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Rules for Diary Copy. Xiaowu, hurry up. The door opened, and Lu Erlong rushed into the room with a fiery voice as he spoke. However, the next moment, she saw a diary copy floating in front of Xiaowu's 3 daughters, and immediately swallowed the remaining words. Dean Erlong, you indeed have a copy of your diary. Next, the 4 women stared at each other with big eyes and small eyes for a while before Xiaowu, with a complicated expression, took the initiative to speak. Xiaowu, are you really a transformed 100,000-year soul beast? Lu Erlong didn't answer, but asked in reverse. She had originally planned to take Xiaowu away from Shrek Academy and wait for a safe place before explaining and asking some questions to Xiaowu. Now that she saw that Xiaowu and her companions also had diary copies, there was no need to explain anything more. Yes. My essence is a 100,000-year-old soft-bone rabbit. Xiaowu nodded. She didn't see any greedy expression in Lu Erlong's eyes, and naturally classified him as a good person who wouldn't harm herself, just like Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing. It's actually true. Upon receiving confirmation from Xiaowu, Lu Erlong muttered to himself and immediately looked at Xiaowu with a bad expression. Xiaowu. What's wrong with you? As a transformed soul beast, it's okay if you don't find a safe place to hide properly. You dare to come to a super big city like Tiando City, which has many powerful soul warriors. Have you never thought about the consequences of being discovered by those soul Douluo powerhouses? Lu Erlong became increasingly angry as he spoke. From the first sight she saw Xiaowu, she really liked Xiaowu's personality and the little girl she had imagined very much. She didn't want to see Xiaowu get into trouble. We transform into soul beasts and must be with humans in order to continue growing. Upon hearing the full expression of concern in Lu Erlong's words, Xiaowu felt warm in her heart, ignoring Lu Erlong's erect eyebrows and slightly condemning tone. She gently embraced one of Lu Erlong's arms and explained. Must be with humans to continue growing. Isn't it okay for you to hide in those small cities where the highest ones are only the great Soul Master and Soul Master? I see, you didn't even want your life because of the mistress. Lu Erlong's words made Xiaowu's face turn red as she lowered her head. However, the next second, Xiaowu seemed to have thought of something, and her face suddenly turned white. Forget it. Your current identity has been exposed. Follow me and leave here first. Seeing Xiaowu's face turn from red to white, Lu Erlong was stunned, as if he had thought of something, and quickly changed the topic. Me. Xiaowu hesitated, her heart was in turmoil now. Xiaowu, you need to understand. Your situation is very dangerous now, it's not a time for recklessness. Before that, I hadn't thought too much about it, but after seeing that you, Rongrong, and Zhuqing all have diary copies, I'm sure that woman definitely has diary copies as well. It's even possible that she has already sent someone to catch you now. Perhaps angered by Xiaowu's hesitation, or disgusted by Bibidong's rival in love, Lu Erlong had a rare chance to regain his mind. That woman. Xiaowu looked puzzled and had no idea who the woman Lu Erlong was referring to. The Pope of the Martial Soul Hall. Lu Erlong let out a rough breath, still unwilling to say the 3 words that made her extremely disgusted, Bibidong. It's her. Upon hearing this, a strong hatred flashed in Xiaowu's eyes. However, before Xiaowu could continue to say anything, the colorful light of the diary copy flashed, and the sound of the diary system immediately rang in the ears of all the female lead and supporting female characters. As the host has successfully entered the ranks of cultivators, the diary copy function has been officially activated. The following are diary copy rules. The first point is that the female lead and supporting female characters who watch all the diary content of the day will automatically receive 1% of the copy diary store points based on the number of words in the diary for that day. The purpose of points in the Dungeon Diary Mall is to redeem any item in one's own world in the Dungeon Diary Mall. Secondly, If the host starts the live broadcast, the female lead and supporting female characters who have watched the entire live content will have the opportunity to win a large prize or a certain number of Dungeon Diary Mall points. Among them, the Dungeon Diary Mall points will definitely be given, with the only difference being the quantity obtained, while the items given by the grand prize are various treasures in their own world. The third point is that the existence of the diary copy cannot be disclosed to anyone other than the same owner of the diary copy. This other person also includes the diary host. The fourth point is that all female lead and supporting female characters who possess diary copies must not maliciously harm each other. Violators will be returned to the mastermind at a rate of 100 million times the damage caused. Special reminder. Xiaowu is one of the owners of the diary dungeon. Please pay attention to the female lead and supporting characters in Douluo world. The introduction of diary copy rules is complete. After speaking, the diary system, regardless of how much sensation this information caused in the hearts of the female lead and supporting female characters, fell silent. Damn it. At this moment, Bibidong, who had already left the martial soul city in a carriage, smashed the tea table in front of him with one palm, and with a look of hatred, let Hulena, who was driving, return to the martial soul city. In other parts of Douluo's world, the original intention was to find a way to not expose the existence of the diary copy, but also to reveal Xiaowu's intelligence to the female lead and supporting female members of the family. They all looked scared and patted their little white rabbits, giving up the idea of killing people. At the same time, within the protection circle of the diary system. That's it. Due to using the diary mall points to directly elevate myself from an ordinary person to the white mysterious realm heavenly realm, have I now changed my diary writing from the previous 1,000-word diary mall points to the current 10,000-word diary mall points? Shen asked in surprise. Just like the diary instance, when Shen officially became a cultivator, the diary system also increased by one level. Yes. The diary system said. If I were to ascend to the next great realm, which is the blue Xian realm heavenly realm. Has it become 1,000 words or 100,000? When speaking, Shen eyes were very bright. No, it's not. The 10 major realms of white Xian, blue Xian, orange Xian, red Xian, green Xian, silver Xian, golden Xian, heavenly Xian, divine Xian, and emperor Xian, from low to high, can earn an additional 10,000 points for every 1,000 words raised by one major realm. For example, the second to last ranked blue Xianjing can earn 1,000 words and 20,000 points. For example, the highest ranked emperor Xianjing can earn thousands of words and 100,000 points. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Shocked Women. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Shocked Women. The words from the diary system immediately poured a deep chill on the excited Shen Forget it. Let's talk about this newly launched live streaming feature. Why do I have to earn 10,000 points in the diary mall every time I start a live broadcast? The key is, what can I get when the live broadcast ends? Shen expressed a lack of understanding. The more exciting the content of the live broadcast, the better the reward you will receive when the live broadcast ends. Rewards include but are not limited to Qin Yining and Bibidong puppets. The diary system made a rare joke. I've all traveled here, what kind of puppet do I need? I want a real person. Shen can't help roast, and then he is too lazy to continue talking nonsense with the diary system, so he starts to write a diary again. Just now, when I wrote about Tang Hao's inability to keep Xiaowu, a 100,000-year-old soul beast, in front of those super powerful forces, my points in the diary mall were just enough to buy a first-grade pill to increase cultivation. Out of curiosity, I bought one. However, fortunately, I bought one and after taking it for refining, I immediately reached the heavenly realm of White Xian. Of course, reaching the White Xian realm is not the most important thing. What really surprised me was that by reaching the White Xian realm, the diary store points I could earn by writing my diary increased from 1,000 words to 10,000 words. Haha, the benefits that can be obtained now with the same word count are exactly 10 times the original, Xiaowu-san. Wait for it. Your good days are coming to an end, jia. I still remember that in Douluo's original work, as you were the first male lead, your rise could be said to be smooth sailing, and you basically did not encounter any setbacks. Therefore, you well concealed your true personality, hypocritical for decades, and made everyone gathered around you consider you a good person. But how would those gathered around you know that you, Tang San, are just a cold-blooded and ruthless spicy chicken? Douluo Tangya said, Douluo Xiaowu. Douluo Yin said, Actually, that's right. Tang San has memories from his past life, and he came from a background of being a loser in the Tang clan. He hopes that a loser will have feelings and righteousness, isn't that a joke? Douluo and Zhu Zhuqing said, Douluo Yining Rongrong said, Douluo Yin. What? How could it be? If the mistress still has memories of his past life, is he still the son of Hao and me? Although the owner of the diary had already mentioned earlier that Tang San's previous life was a failure of the Tang clan, that time, the owner of the diary only casually mentioned that it was unclear. Unlike this time, he clearly mentioned his son Tang San and his memories of the previous life. This made Yin unable to turn around for a while. This also reminds me of a point raised by netizens from the original world. In Douluo, all the forces that followed Tang Sanhun perished in the Douluo II era 10,000 years later, and those forces that did not follow Tang San in Douluo I will still exist well after 10,000 years. It has to be said that Tang San, who is both a sea god and a half-cultivator, is truly exceptional in his work. As the sea god and half of the Shura god were spoken, all the women in the Douluo world immediately changed their faces. The Papal Palace. I never expected that the disciple I found for Xiaogang would be so successful. Sea god, half a Shura god. Can a person inherit two deities? Can it be said that a soul master with twin martial souls can inherit two divine positions at the same time? Thinking of this, Bibidong's eyes lit up. She is also the owner of twin martial souls. It's unreasonable for Tang San to inherit two divine positions, but she can't. Sea God Island. Is this person named Tang San the descendant of Lord Sea God? He is Tang Hao's son, which means he is Tang Chen's great-grandson. Having memories of past lives. In the palace of the high priest, Poseidon murmured alone, his face changing from light to dark. Shen. That's great. Erji's son will become a god in the future. Does that mean that our Haotian sect has a chance to seek revenge against the martial soul hall? The only trouble is, Tang San has memories from his past life. Will it affect his relationship with his second brother? Tang Yuehua walked back and forth in her room, feeling both happy and worried. Speaking of Tang San's inheritance of half the Shura god, I can't help but want to roast. As mentioned earlier, Xiaowu's 6 years at Notting College were all part of Tang Hao's calculations. And for Xiaowu, these are not considered tragedies yet. After all, Tang Hao's idea is to let Xiaowu and Tang San grow up together from a young age, and then make Xiaowu fall in love with Tang San, so, when Tang San's soul power level is sufficient, he will repeat his old technique and reveal Xiaowu's true identity. Next, as long as there are no unexpected plans and no other options, Xiaowu will definitely choose to sacrifice to Tang San. In this regard, Tang Hao is quite kind. He didn't directly kill Xiaowu when he saw her, but instead let Xiaowu enjoy some love. Douluo Xiaowu. Xiaowu is foolish, why is this called kindness? Douluo and Zhu Zhuqing said, the Haotian Douluo in the owner's diary is completely different from the rumored Haotian Douluo in the outside world. Zhu Zhuqing was confused. Douluo Yining Rongrong said, the rumors about Tang Hao's deeds from the outside world are just rumors. Anyway, in the records of our Nine Treasures Glass sect, the true Tang Hao can only be said to be indescribable. As the young master of the Nine Treasures Glass sect, Ning Rongrong naturally knows many hidden things on the Douluo continent. In fact, both the Star Luo Dai and Star Luo Zhu families have this information. However, Zhu Zhuqing's position in the Zhu family is quite awkward, and he has no qualifications or time to read those secret records. Douluo Ilyo and Erlong said, "So, were we deceived? Damn it. I'm sorry, I used to worship him a bit." The eyes of Lu Erlong were filled with anger. If Tang San was not Yu Xiaojiang's disciple, Lu Erlong would definitely arrest him now. Without saying a word, he would beat him up first. Douluo Yiyin said, "Why do I feel a bit familiar when I listen to this routine? However, I don't believe Hao would do such a thing. After all, his wife is also a 100,000-year-old soul beast." Douluo Yiruqingshuang said, "Wu-wu. My poor daughter." Douluo Xiaowu said, "This. Fortunately, others cannot see my diary, otherwise, if you see me say Tang Hao is kind, you might get a lot of contemptuous looks. It's just a bit regrettable all of what I said is true." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Bibidong is a college scumbag. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Bibidong is a college scumbag. Compared to Tang San's actions towards Xiaowu in the future, I dare to stand in front of everyone in the world and say that Tang Hao is truly a kind person when it comes to how to deal with Xiaowu's soul rings and bones, as well as Xiaowu. After all, Tang Hao simply wanted Xiaowu to sacrifice, while Tang San wanted Xiaowu to live more than to die. In the original work, after graduating from Notting College, Xiaowu followed Tang San to attend Shrek College in Soto City. At that time, Xiaowu had not yet fallen in love with Tang San, only treating him as his brother. It wasn't until a few days later when Shrek and his team went to the Star Forest to hunt for the third soul ring for Oscar that Xiaowu saw Tang San chasing after her without hesitation, who had been taken away by the Titan Ape. She completely disregarded her own danger and wanted to save her. That was when she truly fell in love with Tang San at that moment. This is also the beginning of Xiaowu's true tragedy. To be honest, during Tang San's pursuit of the Titan Ape, I didn't see how anxious Tang San was about Xiaowu's safety. Not only did I have time to bet with Meng, the granddaughter of the Gaishi dragon snake couple, but I also had time to absorb the soul ring of the human-faced magic spider. Even worse, in the end, under the influence of Oscar's matchmaking, Meng still gave him a big say. Is it very unexpected? The accident is right. This is the hypocrisy of Tang San. He kept saying that he only loved Xiaowu alone. What is the result? Meng still kept silent. Tang San did not dodge. Ning Rongrong's mouth was silent. Tang San did not dodge. The mouth of the fiery dance in the Flame Academy, Tang San still didn't dodge. "Where is the face?" I asked. "Tang San, where is your face?" "That's what you're saying, only love little dance." With the speed of the ghost and shadow that Tang San brought from the Tang clan in his previous life, if you want to avoid the mouths of Meng Still, Ning Rongrong, and Huowu, it can definitely be easily achieved. If you haven't dodged, it only means you don't want to dodge at all. Speaking of this, there is another roast from the former netizens of the world. It is said that the ghost and shadow can help Tang San avoid any surprise attack, but unfortunately, he cannot avoid the beautiful woman's mouth. Douluo Yimeng still said, Douluo Ihua dance. Muddy and faint. How could I possibly say, Wu Tang San. I don't even know who he is. Douluo Yining Rongrong said, Actually, I really feel anxious about Xiaowu's intelligence. Of course, it could also be in the love brain. After gathering her soul rings, she bid farewell to the Titan Ape and returned to Shrek's team. At this moment, she witnessed Tang San absorbing the soul ring of the human-faced magic spider with her own eyes. Isn't Xiaowu just thinking about it? If Tang San is really worried about her safety, how could he have the time to absorb soul rings there? If the Titan Ape is really an enemy, wait for Tang San to absorb the soul rings before rescuing Xiaowu. It's afraid that Xiaowu has already turned into a cake and been pulled out. Douluo danced a little and said, Douluo Xiaowu. Douluo Yiruqingshuang said, Unfortunately, at this point in the story, Tang San couldn't help but come up with a false excuse. He actually said that only by absorbing the soul ring of the human-faced magic spider and restoring all its soul power, can he have the strength to save Xiaowu. Please. Even if you have absorbed the soul ring, you are just a soul lord who has just passed level 30. Where did you have the confidence to challenge the Titan ape, who has been around for 100,000 years? What is the difference between being a great soul master or a soul master when facing the Forest King Titan ape? Next, Shrek and his team returned to the academy with lingering palpitations, and under Yu Xiaojiang's training plan, they began training that seemed to be a waste of time but actually had little effect. Douluo E Shrek San Mei. Yes, that's right. Master Yu Xiaojiang, who was blown to the sky, trained by carrying stones while running. I don't know what Bibidong and Lu Erlong really like about Yu Xiaojiang. Do you prefer him not to take a shower, or do you prefer him to only run when faced with things? I remember in the original work, it was said that Bibidong and Lu Erlong both fell in love with him because of Yu Xiaojiang's wisdom. I just want to say, are you really teasing me? If a person who doesn't have much to ask for and is the first to escape is also considered wise, then Douluo continent might as well change its name to Shadiao continent. From this, I have also come to a conclusion, leaving aside Lu Erlong, Pope Bibidong should be a super invincible university scumbag. Douluo, Elio, and Erlong said, setting aside my mother, won't we talk about it? Is this looking down on my mother? Douluo compared and said, hee. Bibidong sneered silently. I'm not talking nonsense. In fact, all the martial soul knowledge that Yu Xiaojiang knows is found in the library of the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family and the Martial Soul Hall, and belongs to the most ordinary martial soul knowledge. However, Bibidong actually looked at Yu Xiaojiang differently because of the most common martial soul knowledge that anyone who has attended the Soul Master Academy would know. It can be seen that Bibidong is definitely a college scumbag who knows nothing about martial soul knowledge. After all, the martial soul knowledge that Yu Xiaojiang mentioned would only give a disdainful look to a student who has achieved decent academic performance in the cultural course of Soul Master Academy. Speaking of which, I need to clarify for Bibidong. Many people in the original world said that Bibidong showed the confidential books of the Martial Soul Hall to Yu Xiaojiang to read. I feel a bit wronged about this. It is true that Bibidong helped Yu Xiaojiang publish books, and it is also true that he helped Yu Xiaojiang gain fame. However, when it comes to showing Yu Xiaojiang the confidential books of the Martial Soul Hall, Bibidong has never done this before. Take a look at the 10 core competencies of martial souls that Yu Xiaojiang relied on to become famous and was also the most proud of in his life. The first point is that the size of innate soul power is directly proportional to the quality of martial soul. The second point is that there are no useless martial souls in the world, only useless soul masters. I don't know what Yu Xiaojiang thinks either. The second point is clearly cursing himself. Bibidong is really helpful. You've already helped Yu Xiaojiang publish a book, and you don't even glance at the content of the book. Why don't you remind Yu Xiaojiang about this second question? Does Bibidong actually agree in his heart that Yu Xiaojiang is a waste? Looking at the two roast about himself appearing on the copy of the diary, Bibidong's expression stagnated. Article 3. Martial souls are divided into two categories. Beast martial souls and weapon martial souls. Coming again. Why does Yu Xiaojiang always like to exclude himself when writing theories? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. First Reward Issuance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 First Reward Issuance. I just wanted to ask, does his Luo Sanpao belong to the weapon soul or the beast soul? Let's say it's a beast martial soul, Luo Sanpao cannot possess it. Let's say it's a martial soul. A martial soul that's neither a pig nor a dog, no matter how you look at it, has nothing to do with a martial soul. It's really nothing. Next is the fourth point, that the auxiliary nature of weapon martial souls should be greater than that of beast martial souls. Article 5. Each soul master has a development direction. Article 6. Soul beasts are divided into 5 levels. 10-year soul beasts, 100-year soul beasts, 1,000-year soul beasts, 10,000-year soul beasts, and 100,000-year soul beasts, corresponding to 5 colors of soul rings. White, yellow, purple, black, and red. A clown is a clown who dares to write nonsense without even verifying it above the 100,000-year soul beasts. There are also ferocious beasts that cross the heavenly calamity every 100,000 years on top of the ferocious beast. There are also million-year soul beasts and corresponding golden soul rings. Another news that shocked the women of Douluo world. Article 7. Obtaining soul rings requires hunting soul beasts. The older the soul beast, the better the effect of the soul ring it produces. Listen, isn't this a well-known thing in Douluo continent? Article 8. Only those who have personally destroyed the target soul beast can absorb its soul ring. What should I say? This is also a well-known thing in Douluo continent. Article 9. Martial soul mimicry, plant-type soul masters can absorb beast soul rings. Article 10. The bottleneck of the soul ring cannot prevent the improvement of the soul power of the soul master. After obtaining the soul ring, it will naturally manifest. The above are the 10 core competencies of Xiaogang's martial soul, which can also be called the core theory of martial soul. I won't say whether these theories are correct or not. I just want to say a fair word for Bibidong. If Xiaogang had really read the truly confidential books of the martial soul hall, he would never have written such an outrageous theory. To be blunt, if the knowledge recorded in the confidential books of the martial soul hall is all like this, then as I mentioned earlier, it's better to change the name to Xiao continent. Alright, let's stop here for now. Wait until I finish using up my diary store points before continuing to write. What if we can use these points to directly break through to the blue mysterious realm? Taking back his mind immersed in the diary, Shen got up and moved his muscles and bones. After exchanging some food in the diary mall and eating it, he began the trilogy of taking pills, meditating, and refining. At the same time, the female lead and supporting female characters from all over the world waited for a while, only to see that the diary copy had not been updated further. They also put aside the diary copy that they had been reading all afternoon and started doing their own things. However, the Douluo world where the owner of the diary is located has been slightly changed unconsciously due to the emergence of both the diary copy and the diary owner. Soon, night fell, with stars and dots. Douluo Shrek Academy. Xiaowu. What's wrong with you today? Tang San caught up with Xiaowu, who was planning to return to his dormitory, and frowned as he asked. It's nothing. Upon hearing this, Xiaowu's eyes dodged slightly. She likes Tang San, but knowing that the beginning of this story is a conspiracy and the end is more likely to be a tragedy she cannot accept. She cannot remain attached to Tang San without any reaction. It's not that Xiaowu wants to leave Tang San. After several years of love, how could she just let go? But now Xiaowu really doesn't know how to get along with Tang San in the future. The only thing she can think of is to escape. Is it really okay? If there's anything, make sure to talk to my brother. Don't worry. No matter what you encounter, I will always stand in front of you to protect you. After knowing each other for so long, how could Tang San not tell if Xiaowu was okay? It's really okay. Alright. Brother. I still have an appointment with Rongrong and the others, so I'll leave first. After speaking, Xiaowu ran towards her dormitory without looking back before Tang San could reply. Standing still, Tang San stared at Xiaowu's departing figure, his brows furrowed, and after a while, he left with a gloomy face. Ding! 0 point has arrived. Starting now, we will distribute Dungeon Diary store points to all female lead and supporting female characters from various worlds who meet the conditions. All female leads and supporting female characters who have points in the Dungeon Diary Mall will simultaneously open the Dungeon Diary Mall. With the opening of the Dungeon Diary Mall, all the women were filled with curiosity and eagerly opened the Dungeon Diary Mall that had already been lit up by the diary system. Then, the women saw a scene that they would never forget. For example, a few women in Dopa discovered that the rare ground-level martial arts and ground-level combat techniques in the Dungeon Diary Mall are like cabbage, with at least trillions of them. As for the number of heavenly-level martial arts and heavenly-level combat techniques, they are equally numerous and cannot be counted at all. Even Gu Suner saw the existence of countless martial arts and techniques that surpassed the heavenly rank and heavenly rank, which made her, who was knowledgeable and knowledgeable, unintentionally turn into a stunned appearance. When Gu Suner finally regained consciousness and turned her gaze to other areas such as the Yihua district and Danmura district, she suddenly burst into a bitter smile, feeling like a frog at the bottom of a well for the first time. Of course, it's not just Gu Suner who has broken through the world that has such thoughts at this moment. Women from other worlds, when they see the treasures in their own world in the Dungeon Diary Mall, naturally have similar thoughts as Gu Suner. In the room where the 4 little dancers of Douluo Shrek Academy are located. It seems that the fact that the Dungeon Diary Mall can exchange treasures is indeed true. Lu Erlong gathered the 2 soul rings that had just been exchanged from the Dungeon Diary Mall and could grow for 10 years into 1 soul ring that could grow for 20 years, with a tone full of surprise. Xiaowu. You're not worth any more now. On the side, Ning Ronron witnessed 2 soul rings appearing out of thin air, and also witnessed 2 soul rings that could grow for 10 years converging into 1 soul ring that could grow for 20 years. He immediately became excited and joked with Xiaowu. Isn't that just right? So I don't have to constantly worry about being remembered by others. For shape-shifting soul beasts like Xiaowu, it's best to wish that you had become worthless. Although the diary system says that people who have a copy of the diary cannot harm each other, who knows if they will encounter someone with a brain full of bubbles who insists on trying the knife and what the result will be. When the time comes, she will talk to someone to reason with. I can't go find the diary system. It's really unbelievable. Zhu Zhuqing ignored the laughter of Ning Rongrong and Xiaowu, and stared at the soul ring that could grow for 20 years in Lu Erlong's hand without blinking. It took him a long time to let out a sigh. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Shen Fan's Different Perspectives. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Shen Fan's Different Perspectives, Dean Erlong. Do you plan to replace the regular soul rings on your body later, or do you want to replace them now? At this moment, Ning Rongrong asked. Wait until later. Now this growing soul ring has only been around for 20 years, which is much younger than the age of my first soul ring. Although the growth soul ring can safely replace a regular soul ring, the lifespan of the soul ring has decreased, and my soul power will also decrease accordingly. Also, my original first soul ring was from 100 years old. If I were to replace it with this 20-year-old soul ring now, the color of the soul ring would change, and when others ask, I simply cannot explain. As he spoke, Lu Erlong put the 20-year growth soul ring on his hand back into the storage area of the Dungeon Diary Mall. This can also be considered a benefit for the owner of the diary copy. All items obtained from the diary system can be placed for free in the storage area of this Dungeon Diary Mall. Isn't it possible to change the color of this growing soul ring according to one's own wishes at any time? Xiaowu has some doubts. You didn't see it clearly, did you? The condition for changing the color of a growing soul ring is that it cannot exceed the current maximum age of the growing soul ring. For example, a millennium-level growth soul ring can change between white, yellow, and purple according to one's own preferences, while other growth soul rings in 10th grade can only be white. Ning Rongrong said. So it's like this. Xiaowu nodded. Her previous thoughts were all focused on the 3 words of growth, and she only glanced at changing the color of her soul ring. Okay. It's getting late too. I need to go back. You three should also rest early. After finishing speaking, Lu Erlong got up and put on his boots, leaving the room of Xiaowu and the others. Early the next morning, Shen Fan, who had been practicing all night, opened his eyes and didn't speak to the diary system. He just casually ate a few steamed buns before taking out his diary and starting a new day of diary writing. Sure enough, Krypton made me strong. I only wrote a diary for a day yesterday, and went from an ordinary person with no cultivation to the current 7 heavens of the White Xian realm. Replacing this with the Soul Master cultivation system is equivalent to a 7-level increase in one day. According to this progress, I will write another day's diary today, and tomorrow I can break through to the Blue Mysterious Realm. As long as I break through the Blue Mysterious Realm, I will be leaving the mountain. After all, living within a protected area is a bit too boring. Apart from writing a diary, one can only looking up at the sky with both eyes relies on imagination. Abundant clothing and food tire the right hand. Billions of soldiers will fall everywhere, feeling relaxed and lost, sighing helplessly. Ladies. Where did this come from, Lao Siji? By the way, after I leave the protection circle tomorrow, my first stop should be to go to the Botanical College to take a look. Douluo Plant Battalion Women. What's the situation? Douluo and other women said, is there any treasure in the Botanical Academy, or is there any special place? It's not that there's anything different about the Botanical College. My main purpose is to confirm whether this Douluo world is a novel world or an anime world. Because in the novel world, all members of this year's plant team are male, while in the anime world, all members of this year's plant team are female. Daughters of Douluo Plant Battalion. Is there anything else? Douluo and other women said, I see. However, the plant team of the Botanical College was quite unlucky in this year's elite competition. Whether in the world of novels or anime, it's Ma Hongjun who has given it a hard time. Douluo Shrek San Mei. Is Ma Hongjun such a strong pomegranate? How could it be, said the women of Douluo's plant battle team. Speaking of Ma Hongjun, this guy is looked down upon very harshly in Douluo's fan fiction in the original world. Basically, out of the 100 fan books, 99 of them are contemptuous of him, and there is also one that directly criticizes him. But, to me, Ma Hongjun is actually the most normal person among the Douluo Shrek 7 monsters. The remaining Shrek 6 monsters, such as Dai Mubai, can be brothers with him. He is relatively loyal, but apart from his moral integrity, the rest are all shortcomings. The 3 things that left the deepest impression on me about Dai Mubai are, the first thing is, he is afraid of his big brother Davis. In order to avoid him, he directly abandoned his fiancée Ae Zhu Zhuqing and went out alone to have fun. He often goes on several trips a day, completely ignoring the dangerous situation his fiancée Ae faces in Xingluo. The second thing is that women are not counted as population, but as resources. The third thing, he said to Ning Rongrong, if you provoke me, be careful what I do to you first and then. When I saw this, I was completely shocked. Even Emperor Xingluo dared not offend Ning Rongrong. As a runaway third prince, where did you have the confidence to say this? You should know that the 7 Treasures Glass sect wants to destroy your Star Luo royal family for no more than 3 minutes. As long as Gu Douluo and Jian Douluo move in a space to the front of the Star Emperor, and Jian Douluo swings a sword at the Star Emperor may not even know how he hung himself. It wasn't until later that I saw everyone saying that without the obstruction of the Martial Soul Hall, Jiando had already been destroyed by Xingluo. I then understood why Dai Mubai said such brainless words, because the entire Xingluo, from the royal family to the common people, was immersed in the beautiful dreams they had woven for themselves in one sentence. The more foolish one is, the more fearless they are. Douluo and Zhu Zhuqing said, Douluo Ning Rongrong said, The two looked at each other. Next is Oscar. This person's style in Douluo's fan fiction is completely opposite to that of Ma Hongjun. Unfortunately, the vast majority of people were fooled by Oscar's disguise. If others are bad on the surface, then Oscar is bad in the dark. commonly known as cunning, taking the soul-hunting experience where Xiaowu was taken away by the Titan ape, Shrek 7 monsters and Zhao Wuji stopped to eat and rest in a small town outside the Star Forest. Following Fran's statement that, not daring to cause trouble is mediocre, Shrek 7 monsters deliberately went to pick a quarrel with the students of Sanhe Academy. How did Oscar perform at this time? It can only be said that his performance is even more exciting than Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun, who provoked the anger of Sanhe Academy. At that time, Oscar watched with a smile as Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun bullied the students from Sanhe Academy in front of him. With a mysterious expression on his face, he told Tang San sitting next to him that there was a good show to watch. End of this chapter.